aggression against Ukraine, Russia has become a terrorist state. Russia is openly and systematically targeting educational institutions, hospitals, residential areas, and staff of international humanitarian organizations. These acts demonstrate Russia's complete disregard for human life and international humanitarian law. Accountability for these crimes must and will be ensured. There shall be no impunity for either direct perpetrators or those responsible for planning and justifying the aggression and covering up war crimes. Inside its territory, Russia continues the crackdown on civil society, mass arbitrary arrests, misuse of the judicial system to silence critical voices and those speaking against the deterioration of human rights and the rule of law. Systemic violations and abuses against women and girls, persons belonging to ethnic, religious, and other minorities continue without impunity. The authorities of Belarus, besides being complicit in the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine and the schemes of unlawful child deportation and forcible transfer, further repress civil society. The high number of political prisoners incarcerated in Belarus, many of them held incommunicado and in life-threatening conditions. Situation in Iran is concerning. We call to halt the executions and ensure protection of women and girls against all forms of violence and discrimination. We also reiterate our call to Taliban to put an end to abuses against Afghan women and girls, which may amount to gender persecution. Echoing the High Commissioner's concern that many policies remain in China that restrict the rights of Uyghurs, Tibetans, and other minorities, we invite all the authorities to implement OHCHR and other UN bodies' recommendations, especially linked to the situation in Xinjiang, Tibet, and Hong Kong. We are also concerned by the human rights situation in Gaza and the unprecedented loss of civilian lives, Israeli hostages and Palestinians, especially women and children. We call on all parties to strengthen efforts for the return of hostages, a ceasefire, regional de-escalation, and humanitarian assistance to people in Gaza. Mr. President, addressing human rights violations in specific countries is among the fundamental principles of the United Nations, and it is not an attempt to interfere in internal affairs of states. We call upon all states to engage with the United Nations and grant unhindered access to the UN Special Procedure mandate holders. Lithuania firmly believes that peace can be sustained only by upholding the universality, indivisibility, and independence.